Hello, good evening and welcome. On behalf of Paddy McAuliffe and Paddy Buckley and on my own behalf, Paddy Tobin, I'd like to welcome you all and to thank Geoff for bringing us on here and seeing us and talking to us here in Castlemagner. Castlemagner is a very unique parish. It's west of Mallow and it's skirted by the Blackwater at one side, and as you move on to Kanturk it has the Allow and the Dallow to skirt it along. There are many historical places within the parish of Castlemagner. In other words, there's an amount of history. Historical places, I think, is around 30. There are about 30 places. Now, the history has been gathered for many years by the late Eddie O'Donoghue and his son Dennis O'Donoghue, and of course by his son as well, Geoff O'Donoghue. We're here in Geoff O'Donoghue's house this evening, so thanks for having us, Geoff.
You're more than welcome.
Where did it all start? Where did you grow up?
I was born in Ballyhist in the parish of Kilburn, in a farm occupied by my mother's people for around 200 years before I was born.
Right.
I was born on the 9th of January of a Saturday in the farmhouse in Ballyhist.
Right.
And my father and mother kept that farm, and they bought another farm in Ballygrady in 3 years after 1946, and we moved to Ballygrady in 1947. And I grew up in the farmhouse in Ballygrady with my brothers and sisters and my grandmother's first cousin. My grandfather died the year we left Ballyhist in 1946.
Right.
And my grandmother and my mother's side died the year I was born in 1943.
And where did you go to school?
I went to school in Ballygrady.
Right, that school is still standing.
It's still standing, not into school, but it's occupied by a local family.
That's right, yeah.
I went to school there. I was the last of youngest in the family of four, and I started going to school there when I was nearly 7. I nearly forgot to go to school. I was nearly 7 when I started going to school there, and I went there for up into 6th class, and I was 12 and a half when I stopped going to school.
And you had your brother Dennis, and what were your sisters' names?
My eldest sister was Lil, called after my father's mother.
Right.
And my second sister was Rose, Margaret Rose, called after my mother's mother.
Right. And after school in Ballygrady, did plenty work on the farm when you got home?
Well, essentially and basically, I know I'm half ashamed to admit it, but when I was 12 and a half years of age, I went in one morning coming home from the creamery, and they told Master Ryan that I was too much to do at home, I was too busy and I couldn't come to school anymore.
That's the job.
So he said, okay, if that was it, that was it.
But you went to college later?
And I stayed okay at home then until I was 15, and in November 1959 I went to Paddy Agricultural College for a term of 12 months.
Right.
And came back again in 1960. I started off farming, and I'm farming and rooting and tagging around ever since.
Right, that time around, you know, in the college, what type, was it just farming, was everything?
Absolutely farming, and not yes.
Strictly farming?
Strictly, totally farming. The only other thing about it was run by an order of Salesian priests. They were an order from northern Italy.
Right.
And their primary job in life was looking after young boys.
Right.
And they had a great dedication to the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Right.
A great dedication to St. John Bosco.
Yeah.
And one of the young children that they reared, a man called Dominic Savio, he was 12 years of age when he died. And they taught us very much about devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary, and everything that could be at a time without a top level education. You need to learn about farming, particularly fertiliser, the different types of it, what it was used for, the different plants, the time to set them, how to set them, where to set them.
It was a useful exercise.
It's very useful. I came home and I was quite capable of doing any part of farming. There was about nutritional education for all types of pigs, cattle, sheep and cows.
Right.
It was referred to as fodder units, and you could if you had 100 cows or if you had 85 cows, you'd know how much you need to feed over for a particular period of time.
Right.
And you knew what you were coming, you knew what you were going, and it gave you great confidence and great understanding of what you were at.
So you were off as a farmer, milking the cows and...
Yes, totally.
All cows and dry cattle.
And dry cattle as well. Because the two farms were far apart. They were nearly 3 miles apart, and we had the dairy farm at home and the dry cattle in the outside farm at Ballyhest.
And the creamery?
The creamery was Castlemagner Creamery.
The walls are still standing.
Well, the walls are still there, yes.
They were a branch of Kentuck, was it?
No, it's the other way around actually. That was the original creamery.
Right.
Castlemagner was the original creamery. They were set up in the area, and it bought creamery Kentuck from, I think, a chocolate factory in Limerick that had it built, and they shifted their head office from Castlemagner into Kentuck.
Right,
but Castlemagner was actually the original and founding creamery of the North
Castlemagner was actually a branch. Kentuck was actually a branch of Castlemagner.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
And that time to the creamery, Geoff, get up in the morning, milk the cows. Well, did you milk with the bucket of the stool, or did you?
When I came back from Palestine, there was no bucket of stool. We had a milking machine
that time, yeah.
And you would get up and milk away, and we didn't have many cows, around 30 cows that we mostly had, and go to the creamery with a horse and car.
Right.
And the only drawback we had was when the new time came in. Some areas was governed by no time and more areas governed by no time, and if you met something on the road, you asked them what time, because you were always asking was that no time or all time.
Yes.
And
Sunday
morning, it was very awkward the Sunday morning, because the people working the creamery were going by no time.
Right.
And they had to go to mass, and mass was at no time. So you had to be very early. On the old time clock, you had to be very early. The no time clock to be the normal time.
And that time, I suppose, there was queues at horses and cars, and
there would be, yes, there would be, because the amount of time.
The bit of chat and everything. That thing is.
It was the creamery was actually like the local pub.
Yeah.
You would meet all your pals and your friends, and you'd talk about what happened the day before and what was happening. Any bit of scandal, any bit of news, good news and bad news was always discussed and spoke about at the creamery.
All bits of gossip that time.
Yes.
And dances that time, Geoff.
The local dance hall was Kilbrine. That was built in 1952, and this was run by Father Donny Ryan, and he had a committee with him, but he was the kingpin of the whole. He was a fierce eater and fierce Gordon. And Father Donny was shifted out to Kilbrine, and when he did, in a very short time, the hall closed down, and there was no more dances in Kilbrine after that.
Was there a hall here in the time in Castlemagner?
In 52?
Yeah.
Or there was a hall here in Castlemagner, I think about 1928.
From? Yeah, but till when did it?
Oh, it would be in
60s, I suppose.
I remember dancing there anyway. It'd be the mid-60s, I'd say.
Mid-60s, yeah.
Around the mid-60s. Was there in Ballyhest.
It was famous actually, wasn't it? That hall?
In a way, it was, you could say.
Big Ben's.
There was a shop there as well. Sadie Cannon had a shop there, and there could buy sweets there, and people got their cigarettes and bread and tea and sugar and butter.
And roughly what age were you when you got married?
28. I got married in 71.
And 6 children?
We have 6 children.
5 boys and...
5 boys and 1 girl.
And then you have grandchildren. How many grandchildren have you?
We have 14 grandchildren at the moment.
Right.
Thank God.
Thank God, that's right. Yeah. And all this time now, Geoff, you're farming. And your pub then. When did you come to the pub?
Well, I was giving my father a hand at the pub because my father was getting old and his health wasn't great, and I was giving my hand at the pub from about the 70s on, 1970 on. I was giving him a hand. It was Sunday. Yeah. Maybe not weeknight as well.
Right.
But my father died in 1980, and I had to take over the pub.
Right.
In 1981.
Right.
And basically, essentially, I did up the pub, and the local community council built the community hall, and they both more or less opened the same year. That
was land donated by your father from the community centre. We actually have nothing on the farm.
He was the first chairman of
the parish council. He was indeed. He was actually the first man to read the epistle. When the ladies started reading the epistle first, he was the first man to do it. Now the pub by night and the farm by day, it was fairly tough going.
Tough all going, yes, basically tough all going, yeah.
And then you got an idea. You said you were building.
Well, that's when the building boom started. My children were all educated. They all had their degrees got.
Yeah.
Most of them master's degrees, working good jobs, and I was myself and Mary were up and down to the pub
Right.
7 nights a week. We changed the opening above from the normal 10:30 time in the morning to opening at 4:30 in the evening.
Right.
We opened above at 4:30 in the evening and work away until closing time at night. But that in closing time was what happens, there was 11 o'clock, which is nearly what it is now.
Yeah.
And we decided that since there was an opening to maybe build a few houses in Castlemagner and sell them, we bought a piece of land here in Castlemagner, 3 or 4 acres here in Castlemagner, from the Dehan family, who
Right.
had the farm from my auntie's first husband. He was
Right.
Jack Brown, was their uncle.
Yeah.
And we bought 20 acres of it and we got planning permission to build a certain number of houses and we worked away and took away and
And the estate out there now, how many houses are in it? Within, we say, sites and builds, ones you build yourself, roughly?
I think it's 120. I'm not sure what I think it's around 120. And
Did you realise the damage you were done when you were building 120? Automatically the school wasn't big enough? The crash wasn't big enough?
No, we didn't know. No. But we got trouble if we built them, we built the houses here before we sold them.
Yeah, right.
And the trouble we had was, could we sell them, basically. We built them away and sold them away.
And before the village of Castlemagner, how many houses? There was only about 12, was there?
There was 8 in the terrace.
Yeah. And a few around scattered.
There was one house about that was just standing with the time the community centre was built.
Yeah.
That was 9. And there was a house at the end of the pub as well. And Dinny Ryan.
Right.
That was 11 houses.
11 houses,
Yeah.
and there's 100 and...
120 now, there's about 126 now altogether. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
it was a fair expansion.
Mhm.
There's one house in particular that has a sort of special significance. Can you tell us about that? It's the A rating, A1 rating, is it?
Well, basically, essentially, it is the first certified A-rated house built in Ireland.
Right.
And not alone that, it is built totally in concrete.
Right.
And it's the first one built in Ireland. The first.
How do you mean built on concrete?
After that, a lot of the houses would have been half timber built.
Oh yes, I know. But it's the first in Ireland.
First in Ireland certified.
Certified, right.
In Ireland, yeah.
And it's
A-rated.
as far as you know, does that take off, or is it everywhere now? Is that A1 rating?
Oh, yes, it is in most advertisements we see there on the paper, around the cities and towns and villages. The rating is on the house. The
Right.
rating is on it. It's a very good selling point.
A fair achievement for Castlemagner, isn't it?
Well, it's quite unusual,
Yeah,
basically.
is it?
Yes, quite unusual. I would rate it to be amazed, actually, it was the first one.
And that brought on its own, the population has
Yes, it made a big difference to the
made a
school.
huge difference to the school and the creche and everything like that.
Yeah.
Now, Geoff, as I said at the start, getting back to some history within the parish, you're gifted, and without you, I don't think anybody would know anything. A lot of people don't know anything, and a lot of people have it forgotten.
Okay.
So we'll briefly run through bits of the parish of Castlemagner. It's unique in so far as there's we've 2 castles.
Yes, absolutely.
That's Lowhut and
Yeah.
Castlemagner.
Yeah.
And a short brief word on those 2 castles. Were they?
Yes, they were all built by the Normans, of course.
Yeah.
The Normans were the stonemasons of the time. They came from France.
Yeah.
And France is a different climate, and they could, the Irish building had to be done with mud.
Yeah.
Mud walls, which was better insulation than the stone walls.
Right.
The water would come through the stone walls and the cold would come through the stone walls, while the mud water wouldn't come through it.
Right.
But they built all the castles in the Norman style. The Lowhut Castle was built around the same time as McAuliffe Castle, but it was built on the orders of Prince John, the man that was fighting with Robin Hood.
Right.
He instigated the building of Lowhut Castle.
Right.
And Magnus built the castle over the top of Ardine Hill.
Yeah.
That was Magnus Castle. That was built again around the 1200s. They arrived over from Pembroke in Wales around actually in 1177.
Right.
And they settled down there below on Ardine Bridge. It was in an area generally referred to as the Morton Bailey.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, was that a farm of the castle as well?
Well, it was a secure residence.
Right.
They had a moat. They made a moat out of the river,
Right.
the River Ardine. And they built their shed inside it and they took their cattle and their horses in there at night for safety.
Right.
And they lived at themselves as well. They had a little small little drawbridge in over the stream. They'd pull up at night and drop it down again in the morning.
Right. And the canal down on the main road, we'd say that canal is...
Well, basically, essentially, the philosophy and the planning and the business behind that canal was back from here at the St. Pat House, down from the St. Pat House, a bit down under 1.5 miles from the St. Pat House. There was a mine, a coal mine down there.
Right.
That was very, very productive and very, very busy. You have to do column there and you have to do coal there as well. But the trouble with it was very hard to get it by horse and car from there down to Kinsale.
Yeah.
So they decided that they'd build a canal from Yahal up to St. Pat House. Yes.
Yeah. Because
the black water, the fall of the black water, not so much from there, but from down here to Mallow was only 4 feet.
Right.
So it was quite suitable to follow more or less along the setup of the black water, because they'd follow there would be many lifts at all or many drops at all in the canal.
So it stopped in at Palace, was it?
Well, what actually happened was they got as far as Palace and the railway line came to Mallow, opened in Mallow.
Right.
And that put it into the canal.
Now, within the parish as well, Geoff, we have a share of manor houses.
Oh, indeed, yes, we have. As Solus is supposed to the custom.
Yeah.
As Solus is technically supposed to be the oldest occupied house in the 32 counties.
Right.
Our record of it go back to the Knights Templars.
Yeah.
They used it as a stable.
Right.
It ended up taking all the way some order of monks.
Right.
And then you had criminal confiscations of hunted the monks over it, and you had various and different families who lived in Solus and who owned Solus and who lived in Solus.
Not to get too far away from the Knights Templar now, they were priests, were they?
They were basically under King Richard in England. They were a lay order of monks.
Right.
And funny enough, they had a full backing of the Pope as well.
Right.
And they were the first people. We have at 6 o'clock here now every evening, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock in the day, in most rural parishes in Ireland and in the towns as well. We have a bell called the Angelus bell.
That's right.
And the Angelus prayer was the prayer given by the Pope to the Knights Templars.
Right.
They had to say that.
They had a place in Somerville as well, had
They had a place in Somerville, yes, about 48 houses now.
Right.
And they had 600 acres across the road down from Berrybrook Bridge, used as a farmhouse to support, as a farm to support it.
Yeah.
And they looked at it was actually a hospital.
Oh my God.
For the monks, the lay monks who got injured in the war in the Holy Land against the Muslims.
Right. And getting back to the manor houses, we had Glenlahan.
Glenlahan was built by the Shapps. They were a family, Protestant Church of Ireland family from Churchtown, and they came up when they lived there. And they built a church as well over in Coola Valley, a Protestant church over in Coola Valley.
Right.
And they married into the Bolsters in from Dunbarstone, and then they became the Shapp Bolsters.
Right. And
that's still there now, and the Shapps Bolsters are still there. A very honest, decent, sincere family. They are living there still at the moment.
Right, and we have Ruskeen.
Ruskeen House, well, originally Ruskeen was the Catholic parish, and there was a Catholic church there.
So it's a separate parish?
A separate parish,
right.
Yes. It was attached to Castlemagner, and the last priest operator was the Father O'Neill.
Right.
And that was confiscated under confiscations. And
right.
It was handed over to some local Protestant family. They built a manor house there, and they ran that, and it was eventually bought by the Murphy family from that degree.
Yeah. And we had a fort, that would be Paddy Gibbon, would it?
Paddy Gibbon, yes. Paddy Gibbon house was built by the Rixon Beach.
You were actually the control on that?
Well, essentially yes, but unfortunately the last Protestant owner, he decided he'd sell it.
Right.
But he said before he sold it, he was very, very pro Church of England, a very anti-Roman Catholic.
Right.
And he said before he sold it, he'd take the roof off it because he said he couldn't bear to see a Roman Catholic living in it.
Right.
So the roof is off of it now, and the only site now is this is under the protection of the buildings and people. But it is about more or less essentially a Delvic site at this point in time.
Right, and around that area, Geoff, there's a few lakes. We'll say you have the Caterham Lake. And the one in Bellyhouse, what's that?
The Cater Lake had to do with the pumping of water by the beaches up to the beaches house.
It was the banked it, was it?
They banked it, yes, and they put a water pump, a water wheel to pump water up to their place.
Just, where's that river now? Where's that starting?
They're starting to go at the Cater Bridge.
Yeah, but where does it rise?
The same alongside the lake.
Right.
There, and the lake's over in Ballygiblin. Then they're basically there from the current situation of John Evans.
That's right, yeah.
And
there's an open lake there now as well.
That's right, yeah.
Now, the other river then coming from the other side, beside that Sulla's house, what's the name of that river?
That's the Our Big. That's over in Russanana,
Yeah.
over in the Scala Parish. And winds its way on from Russanana to Castlemagner, down through Ballyhiss, down through Marybrook, down through Assolis, and went out to Barney Creamery and joins the Cater River below, about 200 yards.
And they continue on into the Blackwater.
And they continue on down into Ruskeen. Yeah.
Right, and of course we're all very aware of the impending beatification of Edel Quinn. She was actually born in the parish of Castlemagner.
She was indeed. Her father was a banker in Kentucky and bank manager in Kentucky. And they lived in the next house in Kentucky, and she was born there.
Right.
And when she was about, I think she was about 6, they went out to Clanmill.
Right.
And basically she went from there to Dublin.
Right.
And she got TD and she joined the nuns, and she
was actually baptised here in the local church.
She was, yes, she was baptised
in that same holy water.
Yeah, same holy water. There's all the other local people baptised.
Yeah, that's right.
And she went out there in Nairobi, and she did great work in Nairobi.
Right.
And she's been raised now. The Pope been raised there about 4 or 5 years ago. Right. And she's the parish of Castlemagner is very, very proud of her, and everyone in Castlemagner is quite happy to call her their own.
That's of course, yeah.
There is devotion to her and respect and regard for her as well. And the local, I think it was the Senior Club, built a very nice monument to her below the grounds of just going to Castlemagner.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's just Castlemagner.
And a famous battle took place within the parish.
It's happened after 1647,
Right.
of a Saturday, the month of November. It was actually the biggest battle of the English Civil War. There were more people killed there than any other battle of the English Civil War.
Right.
There was nearly 5,000 people killed there in 2 hours. People who supported the Parliament, owners of the people who supported the Catholics and supported the King, lost it.
So it was between Catholic and...
Basically Catholic and Protestant. King Charles was
was it
Catholic.
within Ireland or was there an invasion?
No, it was part of the English Civil War.
Oh, Civil War.
Of England, yes, essentially. It was a war between the Parliament.
And there was a famous soldier, he was killed there.
There was Sir Alice MacDonald. He was King of Dalriada, a Scotsman. He was 7'4".
Right.
And he had a regiment there of 500 men. He did fierce damage there, and in the evening he stopped it. And he actually went over as far as the Scotland, chasing his opponents and killing his opponents. And he arrived back in the evening anyway, and he thought that they were after winning, and he discovered they were after losing. And he was told off his sword, and he did.
That sword was famous, was it?
Yes, indeed. It was a very unusual type of a sword.
It was actually stored locally as well, was it, for a while?
It was stored for a while. It was in North Castle for years.
Yeah.
And in 1921, they took it up to the Museum of Old Dublin. And whatever happened to the Old Dublin, in the Museum of Dublin, I don't know, but it disappeared. It's missing since anyway. Yeah. And he gave out, when he handed up his sword, shortly after he handed up his sword, he decided that he needed to drink of water as a way on in the road down to Rathmahar. Right. Called the Chieftain's Well, which is to do with the Chief O'Callaghan rather than with him. And he went down his tunnel to drink the water, and the Pudden whose ancestors now after finishing up in the scuttle, shot him deliberately in the back.
Oh God.
And killed him.
Right.
And he didn't kill him outright, but he died within a few hours after. He died below in Rathmahar. And they buried him in the local in Rathmahar in the orchard. Right. But there was a lady friend that he made very friendly with, because the night before the battle, I didn't in Sola's house, all the people who supported the king and who were Catholic, the leaders met there. Right. And McAuliffe was there as well for 3 or 4 days. And the leader of the O'Callaghan clan, he was married to his second cousin. She came from the rock over near Langerville House, across the river there from Langerville House. She was his second cousin. And she had an affair with him and a romance with him, a very quick romance with him in the Astor's house. And by all accounts, became pregnant by him.
Right.
And from ever since, you get these very large Calvins coming up here and there. But when she heard that he was dead anyway and buried, she decided that she'd bring him down to the Callaghan grave in Clonmene church.
Right.
And she went up and got permission from the man that had buried him. He was Lord Inchiquin, and funny enough, he was actually a first cousin to that Callaghan girl. And not alone that, but herself and him were reared by their aunt, who was married to Lord Donwell.
Oh, yeah.
So she knew him very well.
Right.
And he gave her permission to dig him up and take him down to Clonmene, and she took him down to Clonmene, down from Rathmahar, on along here, on along to the Lower Cross, down to Banner Cross, on over to Ruskeen, and had him laid with a piper's band the whole ways over, and the Callister's Mass was played for the whole ways over along,
Right.
and buried him in Clonmene under full chieftain, how would you say?
Arnold's, yeah. And your late brother, Dennis, and yourself?
Yes, yeah, it was my late brother actually, and my son was small at the time, they were only 9 or 10, and he took him down to the graveyard, in Clonmene, put him into the tomb, into the O'Callaghan tomb, locate the bones, because a lot of people said he wasn't buried there at all.
Right.
And there was two things that were easy to identify. First of all, he was 7'4",
Yeah.
and secondly, at the Battle of Bourbon, he got his thigh, his left thigh was broken. So that was being there as well. So my two oldest sons went down and got the hole at below, the his bones were below there, and the big long thigh had broken over the knee was there as well. So there was no doubt whatever that was the remains of Cellars.
And a monument, you erected a monument and stuff?
Well, that was the Kilbrin and the Bantier and Castlemagner Historical Society decided that they need to recognise his greatness, and we came together and put up a little monument to him.
And that was unveiled by Contant.
Unveiled by Contant.
And it was that day as well, it was, you were visitors from Scotland. What branch were they?
They called McAuliffe from
Scotland.
Scotland, yes.
Right.
And not alone that, but a direct descendant of his, became the leader of the SDLP party in the north. He is Sir Alistair MacDonald as well. He was Alistair MacDonald as well.
Yeah.
And he came down there last year, and he was so delighted to see how the monument doctrine, and said he would recognise that he was free from flight and happy at the time.
Yeah. And getting back to the centre of the parish, Geoff, you're holy well. That's very, very unusual, and it has a lot of.
Well,
there's a lot of different.
Basically, essentially, the Druids were into sacred wells, and they had no problem with the Druids had these different gods and goddesses connected and associated with different holy wells in different places. One of the goddesses they had was referred to in Irish as the Sheila Niggy. That was a Sheila with the breast. She was in the Druidic theology. She was the goddess of fertility, and she was worshipped from the Dnieper up in Moscow down to down in Ireland and all southern Europe as well. She covered a Fiat area altogether.
Right.
And when St. Patrick came to Ireland, he, rather than destroy the Druidic tradition, he was quite happy if the Druidic set up fitted in with the Catholic one. He was quite happy to adopt it. And the Druidic theology of sacred wells became Catholic holy wells.
Right.
And they were dedicated to different saints. One of Castlemagner was dedicated to St. Bridget.
Right.
The general feeling is that it was St. Bridget of Kildare.
Right.
Maybe yes, maybe no. And there are more people who say it was actually a sister of of the bishop, the first bishop of Klein, Bishop Maginn.
Well, I see the image on one side and there's another image on the other side.
Yeah, but the seed in the gig, you see what I'm saying, which was this, that under St. Patrick, a lot of, if it was fit without any destruction, a lot of the Druidic rituals were adopted into Christian rituals,
right.
but no lost either one of them.
Right.
And the seed in the gig, that's all the blessed way. There was a church, that was one of the, another theologian in the monk who came to Ireland. He was called St. Bernard, was the bearer of truth. He came from Lindisfarne, and he landed above in Turleys, and he came all the way in from Turleys down to Fremont, and down to Kilbrennan, onto Castlemagner, onto Castletown Roach, and onto Ballyhooley. Ballyhooley, he was the cause of calling Ballyhooley. Ballyhooley because when he came to Ballyhooley one evening in the month of August, the first thing he saw was a young man sitting under an apple tree. And St. Bernard said to him, he said, look, he said, put your hand there. He said, we don't have to. He said, I can't. He said, I saw. He said, I know. He said, my hands. He said, my hands. He said, I will buy a bond apple. I made my 2 hands and look at it. He said, put up my torch. He put up your 2 hands. He said, hand me down an apple. I can't. He said, I can't. But I'm feeling to do it. And Geoff put up his 2 hands and got an apple for St. Bernard. And Geoff was killed. And there's an effigy of that above and one of the windows of the University Church above Cork. Right. And that's how Ballyhooley got his name. He hung the apple after St. Bernard. He was responsible for building. He converted the Druidic crowd above and Subalter as well. And they built the church there around sometime around before the 800s. But
at the other side of the well,
they were quite happy to put, at that time even, to allow the seed and Iggy go into the Catholic Church above in Subalter, and she would be representing the Holy Trinity,
right,
rather than representing the pagan God.
Right.
And the Archangel Michael, the Magnus brought from Pembroke in 1177, brought that over with him. And when they built their castle, and the Astra that was facing our Dyke Bridge, that was the keystone to that.
Yes.
And the man that built our refocus the blessed well, Owen Egan from knocked on us.
Yeah.
He was a kid, he had polio, so he was a cripple, he couldn't walk around, he whole life, that was no. And he lived above and knocked on us, the Egan family. And when the weather was fine, sometimes his people would bring him up in the chair and sitting there on the group bridge, and he'd talk to the people pass up and down, he'd lift the nose and they'd talk to him, he'd talk to them, and it was normal, they were quite happy to do it. This time he was sitting there and he was looking around him, and he thought his fellow couldn't hold the bridge, walk with a walking stick going very slow. And he walked up and past him, and he said, look, he turned him on, he said, hello, he said, water. And the man stopped, he said, hello, he said, how are you? He said, the man that was walking, he said, you're a local man, he said, I am, he said, I'm from around Castlemagner, I am, he said, well, I was, he said. And he said, oh, he said, what the blessed will is, I do, he said, no, that's the way, could you tell me that what it is? Oh, I can, he said, no, what it is, what it saw on, and I'm going to describe it to what the blessed will was. The more he spoke to him, and the man said, look, he said, I can't understand what you're saying, he said, look, he said, is there any chance in the world that you could come and show me what? He said, I can't, said Owen Egan. Well, so the man said to me, he said, I have to go to see the white, he said. Well, I was told no, he said, I had several dreams lately, he said, I haven't come to Limerick, he said, and I'm blind. And I had several dreams lately that if I could get to Castlemagner Holy, well, I'd get my sight back. Yeah. So look, he said, what you could do, he said, look, you'll take me by the hand, he said, and take me down to the well in Castlemagner, and we'll see how we get it. I can't, said, oh, I can't, he said, I'm a cripple, he said, I can't walk. Well, look, all right, so I said, he said, I'll put up my back and he'll carry you and can show me how to go. So I did, the 2 boys down to the well anyway. Owen knew what well, he explained, they were making the rounds and saying the prayers and rubbing the side of the cross and the shield and the gig. And that alone was the man from Limerick killed, but Owen Egan was totally killed as well. The man from Limerick, the local people said, they were stopped roaring, going back home. He was so happy that he was killed, he got his sight back, and Owen Egan walked away home, and he settled down and got married. Right. But before he got married, the first thing he did in his gratitude at this particular time it was called the Will of the South St. Mary, because in 1704 the local landlord, the Relives and Beaches, gave permission to the Irish Catholics here in Castlemagner to build a church above in Cool Valley. Right. And the churches in Castlemagner were always called St. Bridget's Church. Right. The Protestant church was called St. Bridget's Church. That was a Catholic church first, until converted into Catholicism in 1590. And rather than the priest, rather than call the Church of Buckley in St. Bridget's Church, he called it the Church of St. Mary. And the Manana didn't mind at all. But not around that. But he changed the name in the Blessed Will from the Church of St. Bridget to the Will of St. Mary.
Right.
And only he can do that. And he got the head stone, he got the altar stone out of the church above in Sumter was amalgamated with Castlemagner in 1460. And the last priest to operate there was a priest called Dionysius Morrissey. And so they never been used as a Catholic church ever since. It was used as a graveyard around it. It was used as a graveyard, and even up to, say, 60 years ago, children who were born up in that place. Some were buried there as well. So, and there were some people buried there in the June family. But O'Negan, anyway, at the altar stone up at the Church of Open Sumter, he got the shield and he got the Church of Open Sumter, brought him down, set up the very nice cowling over the Blessed Well, and he got the effigy of this Archangel Michael. He knew that was there above and around the yard, above Michael's throne around the room, and he brought that down, he put it there. And he wrote up on it, O'Negan erected this in honour of God in the Blessed Virgin Mary. And when the local landlord, Mr. Beecher, wasn't happy with the Blessed Virgin Mary, and he said, "Well, if he's been all over to the yard with a hammer and chisel," and they chiseled off the Blessed Virgin Mary.
And that's quite visible today.
And that's still visible today.
Yes, sir. And the gushing water when it comes up?
Well, they say that.
We actually saw it.
Yeah,
We actually saw the gushing water, yeah.
But the old saying is Corriheen, boil up. But the old saying about it is that anybody who's ever cured that way, there are a lot of people cured that way, miraculously cured that way.
Right.
That everyone, before they were cured, they saw a fish inside the way. That's just legend, there's no whole truth.
Well, we have on tape the gushing water because Paddy was taking a film of that some years ago and it gushed up while he was there.
That's right, yeah.
Now that O'Negan, he's buried in Castlemagner, isn't he?
He's Sean Callan from his grave, he's just outside the
headstone is there.
just outside the Protestant church in Castlemagner.
Right, and that time you had the mass rocks, Geoff.
Well, the mass rocks were, I don't know, in 1591, and everything that the Catholic Church owned was confiscated. King Henry VIII after he said he was the head of the church, not the Pope. And there were no Roman Catholic Church in Castlemagner that ended up in England and Ireland. There was no churches allowed to open or no priests allowed. There was a bounty put on every bishop and every priest that they could be caught and arrested. They'd be taken away and either deported out for slavery or home, some of the two. And then they had mass rocks. They get quite secluded places. And early in the morning, with Sunday morning, the local priest would come out to hiding, and he'd go and hit their master, and as many of the locals as possibly could would go there and participate at the mass. And the local one here we have is Owen Paddy Tobin.
Sorry.
And
Mass was said there not too long ago.
There was about 3 masses said there, just to sort of qualify the situation so that people understand that things aren't always as 3 years.
A great parish, Geoff, for the GA, great history in that and great success in it going way back. It was formed sometime around 1934 or something, was it?
I think actually 1930. It was formed in early in 1934, but it wasn't actually amalgamated to the GA.
Alright.
What they used to do was, it was stacked up in different places at the time. They used to pay the boys. They charged going to the match, and whoever win the match team, the world would be collected. This, whatever the club would keep, would be divided between the fellas who win the match. Right. But in 1939, I think it was, there was a team below got more, and they fell asunder. And they had jerseys, black and amber jerseys, and the boys here bought the black and amber jerseys, and they became affiliated to the official GA, and from that day, ever since, GA has been the centre organisation in Castlemagner.
And of course the Camogie team, they brought great honour as well to the parish back
in
the
years.
Yes,
they won the first county in 1954.
Right.
Above in Cork City, there was a bus from Castlemagner that went up, and we had great celebrations above, and I was actually at it.
Right.
Myself and my first cousin, my late first cousin, Don Sexton.
Right.
And we had a great celebration. When we came back down out of the bus, we had this great celebration. There was a big bonfire on the cross, and there was great celebrations about it.
I know.
Yeah.
And with a new pitch some years ago and a new community centre and a lot of houses, the whole place has changed.
Totally and completely, yes.
Yeah.
Totally and completely. Yes.
Right, but of course Castlemagner in all sports they excel, of course, you know, you great people and great honourable people living here. Connie Moylan brought
That's right, yeah.
In cycling, yeah.
Handyman the bicycle.
He was indeed, he brought national titles.
Indeed,
and of course we have a half share and Dr. Pat O'Callaghan.
That's right, Dr. Pat O'Callaghan's mother was a Castlemagner woman. She was a Missili.
Right.
She was a district nurse in the area here and midwife.
Right.
In this area here, and she was Dr. Pat's mother.
Right.
And Dr. Pat, you know, was he won gold medal for Ireland.
Yeah, the Olympics,
in the throwing of the hammer.
Yeah. Another man, of course, that we have a full claim to, that's Jody Guinea.
Jody was unreal as well.
Yeah, for a small man, yeah.
Small Jody.
He got 7 titles.
Several titles, yeah. Absolutely.
And Billy Coleman, of course, in his own way.
Yes, and his water railing, he was outstanding.
He was famous, yeah. So all in all, a lot of sportsmen and people going on to win with the All Islands. You had Hugh Sullivan, and I suppose you have Martin Hinchin.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic to see the young people go on and rise up and come back to Castlemagner with an All Ireland medal. Yeah, it was a great achievement.
Yeah.
A small little parish in the middle of nowhere, I feel like, it was great.
And another lot we have here at the moment is our Sheenshire Club, and they're doing tremendous work. You know, that long form would fierce.
Well, they're unreal altogether. They have great
yeah.
energy, and they have great focus, and they have great ability and great drive.
Yeah.
And they're a pure godsend to the parish.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And the church, I know your religion is very important to you, but our church down here is something unique as well, isn't it? Insofar as the stones and the stonemasons and the stone rock came from Killarney or something.
Some came from Killarney, yeah, and more came from Wheeling. The Hollands brought it down from Wheeling, they were stone cutters.
Right.
And they actually built it as well.
Right. And on the way into the church there's a lovely statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary. That's a sort of special too, is it?
Very special for the parish Castlemagner because that marks, it's on the left hand side going in, and it is put down as a mark for posterity of where the altar of the original church was built in 1800. The attached church was built, that's where the altar was, and that's where the statue of the Blessed Virgin is. That marks the place where the altar of the church was built in 1800. And,
that was the second church, wasn't it?
That was the second, it's a new church now.
Yeah, right.
The one church was built before that, to see the local parishes, any church that they are allowed to be built through their generosity, they don't need them to be attached.
Right.
And most of them only have no gable end. And the church below here was built in 1800. So how they do churches now, that was attached roof, and there was no only one gable end in it. And not alone that, but the local, again, landlord, he allowed to believe it, and not alone that, he allowed to be his school. It was his school during the week and the church for the weekend.
Right.
And that was the first Catholic school.
Right.
If you would refer to it as such, the people, you would have to pay so much a day to get in there. And if you couldn't pay, well, you could go on just as soon as to pay for it.
Right, yeah.
But there was no control over it, there was the government, it was basically illegal.
The parish of Castlemagner runs right into halfway into Kentucky, Edel Quinn Place and all,
Right, yes, yeah.
Kilroe Graveyard, and
right, yeah.
There's a street that divides the two parishes, is there?
Well, the river. There's a stream coming down from Buckley,
right. And
the river Island, then that stream is going down to the other. And over Buckley Gate, is running straight down from Buckley Gate down to the river. And from there down to the other, and down to Bernard. The bridge below Bernard Bridge, that's our Castlemagner parish.
That's our Castlemagner. And finally, Geoff, when everything is over and in many years' time, when the good Lord will call you, how would you like to be remembered?
I hope that the Almighty won't let me back in there. That's about all I can say.
Geoff Donohoe, farmer, publican, builder and historian. Thank you very much for a wonderful interview.
When my way groweth drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone,